Here, real quick, please.
You're a girl and you're beautiful, smart, hardworking, and driven. You are most likely single right now. And all the guys are gonna get pissed right now, but it's so true. I honestly just think the options are so limited because hear me out. So like as a girl, you want to find a partner that exceeds you in every single area. So like you want someone that looks better than you, is smarter than you, is more hardworking, has better like social characteristics. Like you look for a partner that has like better qualities than you, or at least like meets you. And not to be an absolute bitch of a person, but it's like when you're a girl that has all of her shit together, looks good, is hardworking, makes a lot of money, it's like, where do you go from there? There's so limited options. And then it's like the guys that are good options that would fit your standards are just cunts because like they have every option in the world. Because there's no absolute way I'm marrying someone that makes less money than me, isn't as funny, or like doesn't have as good people skills. Like there's just no way that that's happening.
So obviously evolutionary psychologists have been telling us this exact same thing. As more women enter the workforce with college degrees, they end up making more money, and they tend to choose men. And the number they found was about 1.65. So meaning if she makes $100,000 a year, she wants a man who makes about $165,000 a year. In general, that's what they're looking for. So you ask women in general, do you want someone tall? They don't all say 6 feet tall, but they say about 2 or 3 inches taller than them. So they want someone who's taller than them. They want someone, like she said, who's funnier than them, who might be smarter than them, who's more ambitious than them, who makes more money than them. So as you climb that scale and you become more accomplished as a woman, then there's fewer and fewer men to choose from. And of those men you have to choose from, those men have unlimited options, and it becomes a problem. What do you think, Stacey?
I agree. And then also I think it could be kind of this way on both sides. So also,
not really, because I don't care at all how much money my girlfriend makes.
Well,
okay, how tall
she is. Well, not that part. As in, like, if the man has unlimited options, I think. Well, again, it depends on the guy. But if he wants to settle down, there might be a girl who's like his dream girl, and he doesn't want to settle. But then his dream girl might have unlimited options to him.
No, but see, the thing is, the difference is this: the woman, she's going to have unlimited options for short-term sex. Absolutely. Or for just some casual dating. Absolutely. But for commitment, you're going to find I bet you we could do some kind of study, so the top 10% of men in this country make how much money? What do you guys think? What number would you say that is? Top 10% of wage earners.
200.
200. What do you think?
180.
It's about $134,000 a year, puts you in the top 10%. Top 17% make $100,000 a year. In the top 1%, I think you're at $818,000 a year. In the top 0.1%, you're at $3.3 million a year. I think that's what it is. The top 5%, I think that puts you at $430,000 a year, somewhere in that area. Oh, nice. Anyway, so the point is, when women are asking for men who are 6 feet tall, that's 14% of the population. When they're asking for men who are who make $200,000 a year, that puts you in like the top 12, 10, somewhere percent of men. No, I'm sorry. It puts you in the top 8, 7% of men as far as wage earners. Those men have all those women competing for them. Meanwhile, what you're saying is, well, then the woman has unlimited options. But does she have unlimited options for men to commit?
Well, not that woman, just maybe the woman that the guy who she thinks has limited options wants his dream girl to be. So the one he's looking for, okay, she might think he has unlimited options, but he's looking for this one girl.
He also has a longer timeline, Stacey. You understand? Mm-hmm. He has a way longer, meaning he could get married at 25 or 35 or 45 or 55 and still have kids.
Okay, but women have kids in their 50s all the time.
It's very rare.
It's not all the time. They don't. No, I think that's a misconception.
I will bet in their 50s, there's fewer than 1,000 children in the United States born by women in their 50s.
I think there's more than people think, because it's so old that women have children so old that it's back literally in the Old Testament. Like women were like, "Holy crap, I'm pregnant."
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen every once in a while. But your likelihood of carrying a child to term after the age of 40 is like 5%.
Well, I think it is only if you don't stay healthy and you don't keep up with yourself.
For sure. Then we're 7%. We're 9%, but we're not 50%.
But it does as age goes on, you do get attacked more by the world and the unhealthy eating and all that stuff. But I don't think that's something that, if you are a healthy woman and all that. I wouldn't worry about it until you're maybe in your 50s, but I still wouldn't.
You wouldn't worry about
it's like a
having
health
children.
risk.
Hold on, time out.
No,
Because we just went viral. You would not worry about having children until you're. Excuse me, editor. Please pay attention to this one. You would not worry about having children until you're in your 50s.
Yeah, I think society places this pressure on women to hurry up and
Well,
panic. And
I don't think
blah,
it's
blah, blah, blah.
society. I think it's Charles Darwin.
Well, I don't think
I
it's
think
Charles
menopause
Darwin
happens
because
when
I
you're
also don't
45
believe in
or you're
evolution. I
lucky.
think it's fake. So
You think evolution is fake? Keep going.
absolutely, evolution is fake. By the way, before anyone says anything, my first bachelor's degree was in astrophysics, and I switched it to theology after 2 years. So I've been in science and physics and anthropology and all that, and evolution is fake. So, but I would just say that as a woman who has been dated and in relationship and all the other stuff, but I'm just someone who also, no matter what society has like, hurry up, you need to have a kid at 20, at 25. Like,
Well, I
I've
understand,
never
but what
tripped
you're
on
talking
that.
about is a feeling, and I'm telling you definitively, the probability of you having a child at 50 is less than 1%.
Well, I think that it's a under
Reported? It's
Yes,
not.
absolutely.
The U.S. Census is pretty clear on this. Even if it was underreported by a lot, it's still not going to be 1%. It's not even going to get. In fact, I'm sure it's a fraction of 1% likelihood of that happening.
In my theology degree, like when I was like 15 years ago studying this, I've heard a Mormon chick in the Mormon church. She just had like her 7th kid, and she's like, yeah, and I'm only 43, so I'm still young, so I'm going to have children. Like, I'm just going to
You're
have
dealing with
babies
someone
and all
who's
this.
extremely fertile for sure, but they're probably outside the deviation. And having a child at 40 is not impossible. And we're
Yeah.
still in the 5% range, right? It's still a possibility. At 50, it's extremely rare.
Well,
it's more likely you're going to go through menopause and have a child at 50.
Well, this is the whole thing. This is what I'm saying. Everything you're saying to me, I'd be like, yeah, but it's still possible. So I would say that the women that freak out and panic, which is what it sounds like really society, because it wouldn't matter if the woman really thinks she needs to have a kid because of time and age. If the universe does not bring her a child, then that's what's going
Stacey,
to
if I
happen.
abused my body by taking steroids for a long time, let's just say I started taking anabolic steroids,
Yeah.
and then I said, and then your response was, hey, do you know if you do this for a while, it's going to enlarge your heart, probably your internal organs, and you may end up dying earlier, right? That's a legitimate warning. But the world is telling me to not take all those steroids. And you watch Rich Piana, all those videos. It's like, I'm not stopping taking steroids.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what's cool about Rich Piana? Anybody? He's dead. He died because the steroids killed him. And it didn't matter what the world. It didn't matter what the world told him. The reality is, he took too many steroids and he died.
Yeah.
So the reality of the situation is, if you wait till 50 to have kids, Stacey, I like you. That's why I'm telling you this.
But I'm
Do
saying,
not wait till you're 50 to have kids.
a
Stacey.
man taking steroids till his brain explodes is not the same as a Mormon chick being 43. Like, I'm still young. I'm going to still have a lot of babies.
But we're talking about percentages. We're talking about mathematics. Like the percentages, like the likelihood of you being able to carry a child to term at 50 is it's not only unlikely, it's dangerous.
Well, I don't think it's dangerous because women have it.
But you
all
keep
the
saying
time.
you don't think it's dangerous.
Well,
It's like,
women don't do it all the time, and they have perfectly healthy children. In their 50s.
there's a lot of data showing that they don't usually have perfectly healthy children at 50.
Well,
This is a fascinating conversation.
They don't in their 30s either. Sometimes they have a lot of problems in their 30s. Sometimes they have a lot of problems in their 20s because they eat like crap, and then they have.
I think they
terrible
might not eat
children.
like crap and still have a problem. Stacey,
Yeah.
is the Earth flat?
No, the Earth's not flat.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to see how far this is
The whole
going.
point being, this whole pressure is of society saying, if you don't freak out, like you don't have it before you're 50.
I think you can have children like in your 20s and not be freaking out. Oh, what is this study?
That's the CDC.
Well, everybody knows
for
this fertility rate, but I'm saying it's not something that you need to freak out and force your
So
life
at 40,
to
it's
be
below.
psycho about.
It's below 1%. Like we're talking 1%. We're talking about or the fertility rate at these area up in the 30s right here.
So
That's
after 30,
one
you start to
child.
see it,
Yeah,
yeah.
one. Okay, so then after that, it drops to like next
Okay,
to nothing.
so
after that.
should
So like around 45 is like not
should
measurable.
the
No,
female?
it's-
So should
There's
the
this thing
female
called
freak
menopause
out,
and perimenopause.
sleep
Perimenopause.
with anyone,
yes.
and to hurry up and get a child
No.
in order to ruin her life?
Stacey, what she could do though is make good decisions in her early 20s to pick someone who's
and
good.
that's what she's talking about, the girl on the screen.
Yeah.
Even if she does, it's harder to find the dude because it gets a lot harder.
Or you
So you can't force either way on her.
or you could be reasonable and recognize that the average man. Hold on, guys, real quick. Or you could be reasonable and realize the average guy in the United States makes $60,000 a year and is 5'9". Like that's the other option, is to actually reasonably choose somebody who's across
Well,
from you.
that's fine too. But if she's just not in love with any of them, then she's not in love. She's not going to force herself to be with a guy who, to her, is
I totally
average.
understand. And you know what would happen if women
That's
don't
not gonna
want to have
happen.
kids because the men don't, because they don't fall in love with the men they meet? You know what happens? The fertility rate would go down. Does anyone want to know what's happened to the fertility rate?
It's
Or the marriage rate? It's plummeted. And the reason why is because of what you're saying. I actually think if enough women believe in what you believe, there'll be 1 billion people on this planet here pretty soon. And I didn't believe in this shit. I really thought Elon Musk was way over exaggerating this stuff. But the more I listen to women being like, no, we need to wait till we're 40, I'm like, we don't have a fucking chance. Because you
it's
might
not that
have
I'm
one kid at
saying
50,
you
but you're not going to have two.
I'm not saying that you need to wait till you're 40. I'm saying that you don't need to force yourself into a relationship because you haven't found the guy that you're in love with yet, because society is telling you, hurry up and have a kid.
Then just
before
don't have
you're
kids.
45.
Then just don't have
Just
kids
don't
at
have
all.
kids.
It's
Then
not
just
going to
don't.
happen.
Then Stacey, then just don't have kids at all.
But see, what you're doing is you're putting a pessimistic conclusion onto something that's not even panned out yet. You can't just be like, well, I can't find him now that I'm 31, so I give up and I'm just not having kids. Like, no, keep dating.
No, you can keep trying.
You might have a kid when you're 37. You might have a kid when you're 30.
Yeah, but your and I hate to say this, but your standards for the man you're going to get at 37 should be different.
Absolutely. I totally agree. 100%. And men, when they're 37, they get more mature and they want a wife and kids too now. So you don't have to necessarily rush yourself at 25, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. You can wait.
I think at 35, you
and
should
you
probably
don't
start
have to
rushing
be-
Probably
yourself.
start
Well,
rushing.
you
should probably
don't
start
have to,
rushing.
again, you don't have to rush.
Just start
because-
fast tracking things.
No, well, because you can meet
Well, okay,
anyone
so-
in 1 month,
So
and in 9 months you can be pregnant.
let's see if I can put a little bit of a spin on this here right now, because a lot of women will relate this to me as well. They'll say, Rollo, how do I find a guy? Like, where are the nice guys? They'll be like in their their early 30s and be like, where can I find a nice guy? Like, they're in your 20s where you left them, in your party years when you were having a good time, and that guy wasn't quite good enough, but he was fun to fuck, but
I
he
have
wasn't. But he
disagree with
wasn't.
that too.
Okay, well, hear me out. Because what happens is we kind of do women dirty in the sense so that we tell them, like, you need to go get the bag, you need to go to college, you need to go and basically follow the same kind of life plan or life track that a guy does, right? Because that's the key to success. And the reason for that is because guys ain't shit. Okay, guys are untrustworthy. They're incompetent. They're Homer Simpson. They're doofies. They're cringe. Whatever, you know. They're basically, you got 3 archetypes to choose from. You've got Homer Simpson, the doofy dad that needs a wife to sort of save him from himself. Then you've got the guy who's a borderline, he's going to be the narcissist. He's a borderline abuser, right? That women keep going back to, and they just can't seem to get away from that guy. And then recently we've got the incompetent guy. Thank you, millennials. The guys who can't drive a stick, the guys who can't change a tire, the guys who need to hire a plumber, the guys who need somebody to come and do something for them because they can't tie a bow tie. You know, they can't tie a necktie, right? Those are the guys. If those are the 3 options, the archetypes that women have to choose from to marry and have children with, and they're like, I don't want any of those guys. I don't have anything to do with them. They've got to find some way to create their own security for themselves. And how do they do that? They go to school. They go and get the bag. They go and start a business. They go and go into theology or whatever. They go to school, whatever, because they can't trust a man to do those things, to be competent, to give them a sense of long-term security. I have so many women who say, I would never trust a man. I would never submit to a man because they're untrustworthy. They don't know what they're doing. I can provide for myself my own long-term security better than any guy that I have dated or any guy that I see out there right now. So the pickings and the selections are so poor. And that's exactly what this chick was saying in the video here, was like, these guys suck.
Correct.
And so because they suck, I have to be better to take care of myself, because I can't trust a man to take care of me and take care of my children.
And then nobody has babies.
Nobody, yeah, exactly. And no one has children as a result of that. And so what happens is it's this sort of existential fear for women that if I get with the wrong dude, then my whole life could be ruined.
Absolutely.
And so therefore I've got to have, I've got to build all of these contingencies into my life so that if shit goes sideways and he starts fucking his secretary and he wants to have a trophy wife and leave me later on when I'm not as hot as I used to be when I was in 25 and now I'm 35, I've got to be prepared. I have to have fail safes in place. So if this guy loses his shit in his mid 30s or mid 40s, whatever, I'm going to be taken care of. I want alimony. I want a solid divorce. I want to have all of these fail safes in place, whether it's societally or personally. And then what happens is, No one has children. No one trusts anyone to the point where, like the way that we used to prior to the sexual revolution and prior to where we are right now in the 21st century as opposed to the 20th century. So what you're saying and what I hear from, I'm seeing you nodding here, is like, I hear this from women all the time. Like, how do I find a guy? And I say, well, you need to start getting in touch with your inner feminine, your feminine energy, right? You need to get in touch with your femininity. And the problem is whenever I say that to them, they say, so what you're saying is I have to dumb myself down for guys who are not worth my fucking time because they're untrustworthy in the first place. And that's why men stay over here and women stay over here, and never the two shall meet, because they both don't trust each other.
Well, sorry, I'll let someone else.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Can I
Go ahead. Go
Sure,
ahead.
sure.
Okay, so I've been the woman that fully shows up for someone that wasn't prepared for me, right? Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm new here.
You're good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to say with that. It does take like a man showing up in his masculine, you know, for a woman to be kind of in her feminine. But yeah, I think the problem there is the mentality, like saying all men are shit, all men are this. That's the problem. You are naturally going to attract that, you know, what you're telling yourself. I think if you show up as your best self, you put your best self out there, then that's what you're going to attract, right? So,
well, we have girls on, generally we have girls on here that are on OnlyFans, or they're making like way more money than any guy who would ever make more than they would to bring them out of, to stop them from doing OnlyFans.
Consider you make $100,000 a month.
And it doesn't have to
now,
be OnlyFans. It could be other things.
Now, the men you want to date make more than $100,000 a month. So that's the first thing. And then number two, like, there are a certain group of men, believe it or not. I know ladies don't want to believe me when I say this. There's a certain group of men that are not going to date you because you're a sex worker. You might not know that they're doing it. And there may be so many men simping for you in your comments that you don't believe that any men would say no to you. But the reality is there's a lot of men who would say no to you. And so now the group of men that you can choose from gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And here's the other part. And Orion Taraban, I love the way he puts this. He's like, women are saying, I want commitment now, and then maybe sex is a possibility later. And then these men up here at the top are saying, I want sex now, and then commitment is a possibility later. And because we can't agree on the price of sex, then never the two shall meet. And we have the lowest number of people hooking up, the lowest marriage rate, and the lowest rate of fertility. Do you hate going to the nightclub and want a better way to meet high-quality women? Click the link in the description and I'll send you an exclusive invite to my elite networking community where you can learn to date high-quality women today.